Okay, hello. Welcome to the Seeking Context podcast, where we explore the way our lives, careers, and beliefs have evolved over time and how they fit in the context of family, community, and the grand arc of human history. And I'm excited to be joined by my good friend Joseph Lewis, who is coming all the way from Kerala, India, to join us. It's 7 a.m. in India, and Joseph and I worked together for the better part of 6 years, starting about 10 years ago, as kind of business partners. Joseph has a rubber factory and makes a lot of products that, I sold to Costco and Sam's Club and Walmart. And so I was really fortunate during that time to meet Joseph's family, have dinner with his wife and mother and father, and get to know the culture of Kerala just a little bit. And so I'm interested in learning more about your upbringing, what it's like growing up in the Catholic faith in a country with large Hindu and Muslim communities, and what it's like being part of a caste system, or being in a country where the caste system and things like arranged marriages are still very much a part of the culture. And also, I know in Kerala, you have such a strong community connection. And even though there's widespread poverty, there's almost no homeless. And you just have such a strong kind of civic and charity ethic in the country that I witnessed when I was there. And so I want to let other people know about that and find out about those traditions and learn more about your background that we haven't never covered in our dinner conversations. So really great to see you, Joseph. Thanks for joining me early on a Sunday morning.
Hi, Justin. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to connect with you again. So it's really good to be part of this podcast and, trying to explain what's happening in India with our religion, the family, and the business that we do.
Yeah, and you're enduring the same pandemic that we are. So that's been a challenge for the last year, I'm sure.
Yes. It's been challenging year for all of us, I believe. And here in India, the most part of the public transport, everything was shut. And then, a lot of people were in difficult times and, coming out of, we are still not out, but then slowly things are getting back to normal. And I think the new normal would be completely different from what we've seen last year.
You think there's going to be a permanent change in the way people live their lives? Like a year from now, it'll be different than it was last year.
Things could become slightly different. It wouldn't be the same for sure, because, the new normal is always with the mask, with social distancing.
Yeah.
And they're trying to bring down people gathering together. So, like we discussed about the church, earlier there used to be big crowds in the church, but now it's restricted to 100. And slowly the people above 70 have stopped going. So I think things would change in the coming year after this.
Right. Well, so just to start out, Joseph, I know you pretty well, but can you give my audience a little background on where you grew up and how your family got into, you kind of have a family business and how you got into that, and just a little bit of background about, growing up in India, so different from a place like the United States.
Yeah, but we are basically located in the southern part of India. It's a state called Kerala. Kerala has 100% literacy as per the statistics, and I believe it's quite true because everybody knows to read, write. When we say 100% literacy, it's not that everybody is educated and everybody is a graduate, but then 100% literacy in the sense that everybody knows to read, write, and communicate. So that's what when we say literacy is all about. But then when we say in Kerala, things are not really as people think about India as a whole, because Kerala is quite developed in terms of when you compare with the rest of the country. And we've been in this business. My father started this business in 1948 on his own, and how we came into this rubber business was like, my grandfather was a general provision trading merchant since 1940s. And
Mhm.
then when my um, dad and dad's elder brother completed their graduation in commerce, my grandfather thought that it is good for them to start an industry. So that's how we got into the rubber industry, because the rubber, we are located in a place where natural rubber is grown, and it's very important in Kerala to this place. Kerala, Kottayam is the place where natural rubber is grown. And
Right. And then the rubber, I don't think a lot of people know this, but rubber comes from a tree, right?
yes, natural rubber is grown from a tree. And then we have a lot of rubber plantations in and around Kerala. So, and the most important area is Kottayam, where we live. So that's how we got into this manufacturing in 1970, and my dad started out in 1978.
Right. And so when you were a boy growing up, did you work in the factory, or how did
No,
you?
no, no, no. My At that point of time, when I was growing up, we didn't have good schools in our area. So my dad was very particular that he gives good education where we can speak English and where we can learn different cultures, and where we can interact with people around India. So he put us into a boarding school. And I think when I was 10, I moved to a boarding school in a different state called Tamil Nadu. And then we completed graduation there. And in 2001, after I graduated engineering, I came and joined the business. It was like, it is not something that we had to work in the factory.
Okay.
Child labor is, it's not the rule of, it's the rule in India. We cannot have that. People above 18 are allowed to work.
Ah, right. So, and is that boarding school you went to, is that where you met your friend Amit that I know from Delhi?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And so how long were you in boarding school?
From class 5, like we in India say grade 5 or grade 6, whatever you call in the US, we call it class 5 over here. And from then to 12, that is, and from that's like about 8 years.
Okay. And so and boarding school means you left like for 3 or 4 months at a time and lived there, and then you would come home during the summer or holidays. How did that work?
Yes. We were living in a residential boarding school, so we had only 3 vacations a year. So that is like the Christmas, the annual summer vacation, and then we had a midterm vacation for 10 days. That's the only time we used to come home.
Wow. Did you like it, or were you sad whenever you went back to school?
I was sad initially, like from, say, I would say 5 to 8, I was quite sad. But then, once we started getting along with people around, and it was like a class of 60 students in a batch, and we were close to each other, so that we never missed home. So we kind of really had good time. Now we think that was the best part of the life that we spent.
Looking back, you really value it.
Yes.
That's really neat. Well, tell me a little bit about growing up. So in Kerala, there's a strong Catholic tradition, but in India, the Catholic is a very small percentage. Is that accurate?
Yes. In India, we have only less than 3% of the total population following Christianity. That's very true. But if you consider Kerala, we have a sizable population. I would say 18% in Kerala, compared to the Indian population of 3%. We have nearly 18%, if my statistics are right. I'm not sure, but then I think it is 18%. And in the central Travancore, where we live, we have more than 30%. So it is not that we are minorities, or we have people less, but we have good sizable population of Christian community living in central Travancore of where we live.
Right. And so you've told me before that your grandfather was a very strong Catholic and took your dad to like mass every single day when like in the 50s. Is that tell me about that like history of your family.
See, I would say, my granddad had a very difficult childhood because, he lost his parents when he was 14 years. And then he was living right next to the main parish metropolitan church in my town. So when he got married and when he started getting children, like when my father was born, the family was getting bigger for that house. So, he had to move from that old place to a different location, which was about 5 kilometers away, to a bigger place so that, he could have enough space for his children. So even then, he wouldn't miss out on going to church. So he used to take every day my dad and his elder brother along with him to the church, which was 5 kilometers away, for the mass every single day. And that's the time when he used to explain about, how they should be, uh, living their everyday life and how they should value what they're getting compared to his childhood. So, that's how he used to take them every day. So it was kind of a point of conversation while they walked all the way. And because, granddad had to work for the rest of the family for, rest of the day after the mass. So this was the easiest communication mode that he used to have with his children.
So the walk to the church was the time of like family education.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
And so did your father or your grandfather, like you said that when he lost his parents, he was near a Catholic parish. Did he become Catholic then because of that? Or does your family have a history in the... How did that happen?
When I discussed with my father about this particular, instance of when we got into Christianity, he said, for say over 600 years we've been Christians, because we have in Kerala, we believe that Saint Thomas visited Kerala. So that's the time when a lot of people started coming into Christianity and started learning about Catholic faith and all that. So it was around that time, he says, we would have been converted. But as long as he thinks, and it was not just my granddad, it has been years and generations we've been Christians.
Right. Well, and so now your family is, you still follow that tradition, but you don't go to mass every day.
I don't go, but my wife, even now, with this pandemic, we are allowed. Earlier, it was only 30 people attending church during this peak pandemic time, but then now it's relaxed to 100. But my wife, she gets up at 5:30 early morning and she runs so that she is in that 100 to be inside the church. So
you're talking about once a week or
every day.
Really? And
Yeah.
then, but your son and daughter don't go to mass every day, or do they?
No, we have a particular rule right now that kids and people above 70 should stay away from the church mass right now, because it's the government rule at the moment.
They want the children to not be there, and for people that are too old. Essentially, they're allowing people in the middle of life to have some risk.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Well, so you told me when we talked 6 months ago, middle of the pandemic, that it was almost, or I think you said nobody was allowed to go to mass, and that you like divided your parish into small groups and then met in people's homes. Is that still continuing?
Yes, it was there even earlier, pre-pandemic time or earlier last year. They were always, that small group was there. But during this pandemic time, we had this group getting together for the monthly one gathering, that we used to do. And even now it continues, and but we just keep that people level at low. It's just 12 families.
Right. And so you said how many families are in your parish?
450.
That's a lot. And so on a normal Sunday before pandemic, like the mass would be very crowded. Is that true?
Yes, it's a very crowded church during the weekends, but then we used to have three masses, like one at 5:30 a.m. and then the second one at 7, and then the third one at 9:30, and then we used to have one at 5 in the evening.
Well, I go to the Methodist church in Oakley, Kansas, and you're blowing our numbers out of the water. And I think the Catholic Church here has a larger population, but I think you're showing them up as well. Although, how many people are in Kerala? Like, it's a pretty crowded state.
Yes, we think there are 30 million people living in Kerala.
Okay. And it's a pretty small territory for 30 million people.
Yes, it's one of these. It's not the smallest. It's one of the smallest in India.
Right. Well, so you have all of these families that would normally gather on a Sunday, and then you said you split up into a group of 12 families. So it's like every week you would meet with the same 12 families, or is it 12 individuals?
No, it's 12 families that we meet around our place, and then it's a turn. It's not going to be in one particular place. People go to everyone's house in alternative way, so it just makes people feel that everybody is one, irrespective of their income or irrespective of what they do. It could be, it just makes people grounded and feel that though everybody has different surrounding, at the end when we come for the prayer, everybody is the same, and there's nothing to feel bad about, or we should feel at one with everyone.
Right. And that sounds a little out of step or different than what people know with the caste system in India. Like is the caste system still pretty relevant in Kerala?
No, it's not relevant in Kerala, Justin. Caste system is not at all relevant in Kerala. Although there is a lot of caste in Hinduism, in Christian, but people don't look at it that way in Kerala. But rest of the India, yes, it is very much prevalent, and people sometimes don't accept, because I had a person in my factory working, telling me a few months ago that he was not allowed to even drink water from that community because he was from a lower caste. So things are there in North India, but in Kerala, no, because if that was there, then he wouldn't be here with us. So, but then we don't have there's a lot of tolerance in Kerala. There's no caste system. I would say there's no caste system in Kerala.
Right. Well, so what about like you're 18%, so there's still a lot of Hindus and Muslims, and certainly at boarding school, were there very many Catholics? How were your relationships with other kids at school who, I don't know, was everybody in the same caste, or did that matter at boarding school?
No, it really did not matter, Justin, because nobody in the school, because this particular school was run by missionaries from France. It was like Brothers of Saint Gabriel who was running the school, and it was run by a Catholic institution. So there we had people from different communities, different states, different castes, but everybody was that people from, I would say, from rich families. But then nobody asked about their caste, nobody asked about the religion. It was just about that 60 people as one. So that was one a learning experience where we never discussed which caste we belonged to, which religion we followed. It was never an issue. Even right now, when the 60 of us, we out of that 60, I think 55 communicate with each other because of this. We have this new WhatsApp and all these things. Everybody is in a group and everybody talks, but nobody ever thinks that this guy belongs to a different caste. No.
Right. That's pretty neat to have that real bond with a wide mix of people. Are the 60 of you scattered across all India, or is it mostly close to like the state where you were in
60
school?
is scattered around the world. There's no. I think I am the only. I think only two of us are in Kerala. I would say about 20 in India. Rest are in, some are in the US, some are in Australia, some are in Germany, some are in the UK. Some are in Dubai, or some are in Singapore. So it's like completely different. Everybody is in different places.
That's nice. So you get a little bit of a window into what's going on in the world from your childhood friends.
Even otherwise, the kind of business that we do, we get to speak with people from different countries, and it's quite nice. I'm quite happy with the people I communicate with. Everybody is really open, nice, and warm and very welcoming, I would say.
Right. That's great. Did you, when you were in boarding school, so you didn't, like the Hindu students, like they probably had their own traditions, but you did separate things on the weekends? How did that work?
No, see, we were in a Catholic school, so we were given the option of going. It was not, the school was not giving us compulsory options. So the Catholic students could attend mass every day, or a Sunday mass. Sunday mass was compulsory, but then they wouldn't insist on us doing that every day. And the Hindus and Muslim kids were not asked to attend the mass or anything that related to the religion. They could do whatever they want. And the brothers and priests they were not really worried about what the religion was all about. They asked us, they taught us how to be, together and follow whatever we wanted.
Right. Well, it sounds like a nice tradition to have.
Yes.
Are your children going to school in Kerala, or have they been to a boarding school as well?
No, my children, they go to a school nearby, but then the reason why we had to go was because at that point of time in the 80s, we didn't have a good school at that point of time in the town where we live. So that's why my dad wanted us to go to a place where we were exposed to good education, good games, and where whatever we were going to miss in our town. Right now we have good schools, and the schools that my kids go to are very good. So I don't think there's a reason for me to put them into a boarding school now.
Right. Are they going to school right now? What's happening with the pandemic, or do you have to teach them online?
They have online classes right now. They don't go to school anymore.
I assume that, like American children, they are ready to get back to regular school.
Yes, but my daughter, I think she wants to go and meet with the kids and meet her friends and be back in school. But my son, I think he prefers online classes, so he's like,
we'll just
fine with this.
Oh, so one of the things I noticed when I was visiting, I remember that there would be these guys that would sometimes come by the factory and maybe even sometimes come by your home. And I remember you telling me like, oh, that guy comes by for money once a week, and that it's a person who maybe doesn't have a job, and that it's a regular thing that he would like go from business to business, and that the community sort of supported that person's financial life that way. Can you tell me about that? It sounds like that's not uncommon.
I'll explain that a bit to you, Justin, because there are people who we don't have really the social security thing like in the US. So once they are pretty old, or if they don't have a proper job, they still have a family to take care. And or if they don't find a way, some people who know you come to you. That means, like if I mentioned that to you, like, if they come once a week, those are the people whom we know. That's why we kind of help and support them. But there are people who sometimes we don't know, who just comes. And there are two ways of seeing this. Some people just come, uh, to get money, to drink, for their things. So we don't encourage that. But there are people who come for their medical needs. There are people who come for their children's educational needs. Those are the people whom we support, because if we know them clearly, if they really need help, there are people helping them out. It's not really that, it's not really tough for them to get their medicine or get their books for their children's education. No.
Right. So you're saying that there's not, like in the United States, you're saying there's not really a social security system or Medicare. Like if you show up to the hospital, and do people have insurance, or do you have to come with money?
If people, there are people who can afford an insurance and premiums, then some people go for a medical insurance. But large populations still do not have insurance and all these things. They have to. But there are subsidized medical colleges where they can go and have a free treatment, government hospitals. That is not an issue. But then there are people who really need money for other things, like medicines. And they can go and meet a doctor, but they wouldn't get free medicine. So they need to buy the medicine. So there are different norms that we have to go through.
Right. So it's like this tradition of like charity towards supporting the people that are, in financial straits. Is that just part of the Catholic community, or do the Hindu and Muslim or non-faith-based Indians also support that sort of thing in Kerala?
Everybody has their own system of supporting people in need. But I would say that in our parish, if you consider, there are no people who needs a house. Everybody has a home. Everybody has a house. I mean, if there was one person who didn't have, then the parish would build it for them. So if there was somebody who needs assistance in books, yes, the parish, if you just go to the parish priest and tell him, like, I cannot find money to buy the books, and then he would just tell it in the church that we have 10 families who are looking for books. Would there be anybody who can help? Then people would come. But that is not all. I would say that we have some kind of real nice things. Like for example, 2 weeks ago we had a collection for a person who was diagnosed with cancer. So they needed about 1.8 million rupees, that is close to $30,000. And the initiative was taken by a priest, not the parish, but a priest in the town. And he said, we'll just collect from 4 or 5 localities, and then it was done in 4 hours. And everybody, irrespective of Muslim, Hindu or Christian, everybody supported that cause, and it was collected in less than 4 hours. And
that is amazing.
Yeah, and the same thing happened last year. It was for a Hindu, and same thing, it was the initiative was done by a priest. So irrespective of their religion or caste, if somebody is in real need, and if somebody can take the initiative to collect it, then things can happen very easily and quickly.
Wow. And is that all cash? Do you, like in the United States, people set up a GoFundMe page on the internet? How does that physically work? Are people just giving money to the priest and he gives it to the family? Or
no, it's not the priest. The priest, he only takes the initiative. There's a group of people. They would separate that group to different localities, and then they will go to each and every house. And you could collect his cash, you could collect his check, you could put it in a bank account, and then they will give you that statement. Right now we get statement in on a WhatsApp. In that group we get, okay, this particular day collection in the each locality we collected so much. The amount was 30,000, but they collected more than 30. They collected close to 34.
That's great. And I'm sure that the recipient is very thankful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious about one of my friends wanted to ask about taxes, like, because you don't have a social safety net that the government provides, and it sounds like that the community provides it yourself. Does the government collect a lot of taxes, or not as much?
No, Justin, that is a wrong idea that that you have, because it's not that the government does not support. Government do support, because during this pandemic time, we have different kind of stages of classification of people. Like if you have a ration card, it's something like a status card, or I would say it's something to do with everybody has it. If you have this card, then government gives subsidized food. Here nobody needs food, because everything the government gives, like, to the people who are in need. It's not like I get it. It's like, if you are in if somebody is in need, they can just go to the government centers, and you can collect the food. The government does a lot of things, because that's why it's that thing is wrong, because the government does not do anything. Government do a lot. We get a lot of subsidized food, and we get a lot of subsidized electricity, and a lot of that. There's no problem of having food in India.
That's great. That is definitely a misperception, because I mean you do have pretty widespread poverty, but would you say that the poverty level in Kerala is not nearly as dire as places like northern India?
Yes, in Kerala, except for some tribal areas, I don't think there's anybody who really needs any help in terms of food. Everybody has food for sure. There's not a problem.
Right.
It is so organized now that people come to your house, and they find out if anybody is in need, and they will have that thing delivered, food delivered to your doorstep.
Right. So I remember early on in the pandemic, we were talked one day, and you told me that like when you couldn't go to church, that your kids had found a mass from a church in Canada, and that
Yes.
you were going to mass in Canada, that they liked that service a little better. And I'm curious if you've continued that, or
Yes.
if you're watching online with your local parish now, and what attracted you to that Canadian experience? Yes.
No, I'm initially what happened was, when we didn't have that live streaming from the local parish or from the thing over here, we decided, like, Sunday we have to at any cost attend the mass. So the only option was to find something online. Then that's how my kids found this church live streaming service from Canada, and then we found that interesting, and my kids loved it. So even now on a Sunday we do that. We watch that instead of watching this local our parish mass. We find the other one little better.
I assume is it in English or Latin or
English.
Okay, and is your mass in Kerala in English as well?
No, Malayalam, in our local language. But my kids preferred to attend the English one.
Right. Well, and I guess a lot of people in the United States might not know, but virtually everyone in India speaks English, right?
Yes, at least they can manage something.
That sounds like a no.
No, people
I
can.
remember Northern India. There's definitely a lot of people I couldn't communicate with, but the one common language like between you and Northern India is definitely English. Is that right?
Yes, because I speak to my friends in North India in English. I don't speak to them in Hindi because in India we have 28 states, and everybody speaks a different language in different regions. So it's not possible for me to learn their local language. So we instead of speak and they for them speaking in our language is difficult. So all of us speak in English rather than speak in Hindi or our local languages.
Right. With everybody attending online and not necessarily attending your local parish, is the church suffering financially?
That's what the parish says, but I don't think they would need to worry about that because one thing, if they just really need thing and just tell the people around, and they get the money. There's not really something that it depends on the priest who's managing the parish.
Right. Cool. So I'm curious to know a little bit about you and Tanya. Like, how did you meet your wife? And it was, if I'm correct, it was an arranged marriage. Is that right?
Yes, it was an arranged marriage, Justin. At 15 to 20 years back, or I would say from only now things are changing. When I was getting married 15 years ago, my parents insisted on having an arranged marriage. And I know my dad was, if I had told him, that I would find my own, he wouldn't have had a problem. But then, my mother would explain to me that, having a family bonding and, everything, we need to know the people, the family, and all things. So they preferred arranged marriage. And how we met was like, we had a common friend who introduced their family to my father, and said, there's so and so person. So if you're interested, let them meet. And that's how we were given a chance to meet. And then I think we spoke only for 2 months. I met her in October, and then we were married in January.
The whirlwind romance must have been love at first sight.
Yeah, there's no case of romance here. The romance starts only after the wedding.
All right. Well, when I visited, it looked like you have a pretty great family life, and certainly it worked out. Well,
Yes, yeah. But I think arranged marriages do work out because my parents have been married for 48 years. They also had an arranged marriage.
Right. And is the tradition fading away? Like, are your children likely to be finding their own partners, or would you think
now yes, because now earlier, each family used to have 7, 8 kids, and now things have changed to one. And whenever they go out to study, they meet somebody. And then most of the kids now are trying to live outside India, in from our area. So they kind of meet people where they studied, and they want to get married and live together. So parents don't really object to that now.
Right. Yeah, and well, let's see. How old are your kids now? Gosh, they're must be almost teenagers.
No, the elder one is 11 and the younger one is 9.
Okay. All right. I guess it hasn't been that long since I visited. Seems like I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yes.
The pandemic makes you feel like time has just 15 years have passed.
Very true.
Okay, so I have 2 pages of questions here. Let's see if we've got like about 20 minutes left. Let me see if I can find some more stuff for us to talk about. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask about the literacy and the like how do you think it is that Kerela, like, you achieve such a high rate of education when other parts of India struggle?
See, it could be wrong or it could be right, because I'll explain to you, because most of the like I said, in Kerala we have 18 to 20% of populations Christians, and most of the places, the Christian missionaries or Christian institutions have schools and hospitals, and they do a lot of things. So that influenced a lot of people coming to school irrespective of their religion. So I would say a lot of influence have been done by the Christian missionaries to educate the people and bring them to school. If you consider every single town in Kerala, I would say the Christian schools and colleges are there.
Wow. So it really has made a good influence.
Yes, completely. They would have made the influence. But
Right.
now I told you, now things have changed, because the Muslims are running a lot of institutions, the Hindus are running a lot of institutions. Now things are changing. Everybody is like for bringing children to school, and everybody wants the children to study and have a better life. People don't want to. People are, as things are improving, people want to have a better life and structure. So everybody is going to school now.
Yeah. And would you say that standards of living in Kerala have increased significantly in your lifetime and over your father's lifetime?
Yes, completely. Now we have, when we travel across the world, whatever it's available there, even it's available here too. But the only thing, it is not as organized as the West. But we almost have everything that is um, there, even here in India.
Right. Right. When are you coming to visit the U.S.?
I wish I could do that, but I'm not sure when. It's been there on my mind for a very long time, but I have not had the opportunity to visit.
All right. Well, you've got welcome place to stay. I've got places in the Midwest and California that I can show you around whenever you
Yeah, sure.
which I'd love to. And so I'm curious. I'm curious to learn a little bit more about your work. Like, how did you get into? I guess when you came back from school, did you plan on joining the family business, or did you think about other options? And your brother is also part of the business. Did you all collectively decide this is what we're going to do, or did it just unfold in a different way?
No, my father was not really particular about me coming to the family business, because family business means it's a lot of stress. We have to take care of a lot of things. So my dad really didn't want both of us to come and do the business. But then we are too attached to our family and our business, because we thought, I mean, what I was thinking, because I had a brief work experience in the UAE for about 6 months. But then, I thought,
UAE?
in Dubai, in UAE.
In Dubai, okay.
So when I was over there, I was thinking, my dad, he built it up. He built the factory from 1978 from scratch. He started really small, and then he took a lot of effort to bring it up to that level at that point of time in early 2000, like I would say 2000. Then I thought, if we don't take care, he would just retire, shut it down, and he'll stop everything. I didn't want that to happen, because he really tried, and he did quite a lot for that. So I thought, I should continue that, and I came to the business. Then
Right.
my brother, when he completed his graduation, he was working as well in one of the largest automobile companies in India called Maruti Suzuki. He was working in Delhi as one of their purchase interns over there. So then,
And
when
for people that don't know, Delhi is like more than 1,000 miles away north, right?
more than 2,000 miles, close to 3,000 kilometers. Yeah.
Yeah. So India is a big country, and moving to Delhi is very different than Kerala.
Yes.
But
So
go ahead. Sorry.
he was working there, and then as I couldn't manage a business all alone, because being this family business, you have to do the purchase, you have to do the sales, you have to do the handle the finances, you have to control the everything. So it was getting too complicated for me to handle it. Then I had a brief chat with him, because I didn't want uh, him to feel that he had a career, and then if he had to come and join, then at a later stage I didn't want him to blame me for ruining his career. So i I had a discussion with him, and I said, see, this is what we are doing right now. If you think you want to join, you can come down, and we could split our work, and we could continue with the family business. Then he and my dad also had a discussion about this, and then he decided that he would come down. But then once he came down, it became a lot of easy for us to focus on specific areas, and improve on what we were doing.
Right. So you're glad that he joined. You think he's helped the business succeed?
Yes.
And how do you split the responsibilities? Or do you kind of do like managing of the operations of the workforce, and he does the accounting and sales?
Yes. We have people specifically for certain areas, but then we oversee it, and everything goes through our knowledge, because it's not a big business where we don't want to we want to see whatever is happening, and whatever it under our knowledge, we want everything to go. So what he does is, like, he does the purchase and the accounting. So the guy who purchases the raw materials need to pay as well. So he needs to communicate that. So he takes care of purchases and finances. I do the production, and I do the selling. So when and I communicate with you, or initially when we were working together for Costco, it was like you would tell me what was the requirement, then I would say these are the shipping dates. So production and shipping, I could answer immediately without asking anyone. It's the same thing that he does. Like, when he buys the raw material, he can answer when he's going to pay. So he does not have to ask me when that would happen. So that's why we split the responsibility.
Right. Well, so we talked a little bit about working with me. We landed this big giant order with Costco. By the way, so we made this boot tray. It was our big success. How many units have you made over the course of working with me and Adam, our business partner at the time?
I think we sold close to 1 million boot trays.
That's pretty amazing. That's a lot. And like, for the size of your factory, that's a tremendous amount of sales, would you say?
Yes. I would say, the first year, I think you remember, you came and stayed with us 9 days.
Yeah, I was pretty well. I mean, the very first time I met you, I was probably only a day, right? Only for a few hours. Like, I was visiting like 5 or 6 factories.
Yes. I remember that. Even we have this discussion, even yesterday with my dad. I was like, we were I go to my parents' place for lunch every single day. So yesterday, while I was sitting with him, I told him, like, 6 to 7 years ago when we met, I said, what do you think would have made Justin take the decision to work with us, but he had gone to several places during that time. And he said, I said, I don't know why the decision, because he had been to several places that time, and we chose to work together, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember myself. I'm curious if you ever talked to JP about this, because so for your wife's cousin, JP runs a large factory that makes similar products, but he wouldn't have ever been able, I don't think, to make the volume of one item like we did.
No, I still think he wouldn't have managed that.
Right. I mean, he has his factory is quite a bit larger than yours, but They just don't focus on the rubber products, right?
Yes,
more on
yes. We have, each industry or each factory has, focuses on different items, and people are strong in certain areas while the others are not strong in certain areas. So their core thing was about coir products, and our thing was about rubber products. So I think that was one decision that you found in us to to decide to work together.
Right. He was probably going to be too expensive for us too.
Okay.
No, I remember that. I remember a drive. You drove somewhere in your car, and I just remember talking to you for a while, and for some reason, I felt like I could. I don't know, something connected, like where I thought I could trust you, and because we were making something new, and we needed to make samples, and it felt like you had the capacity, and also that you were hungry, like you were eager for new business. Where a large factory like JP's, I would be a really small customer to him, and I think I was still even kind of a small customer to you the first year. But what was it like meeting me? What did you guys have when you met me?
I'll explain that, Justin. For me, every single person, irrespective of the size or expect, because I try to bond with the person as our own family, or as our own people, even from the beginning. I had one experience with one customer from Russia, like in the year 2006. What happened was, he just like you, he was in India. He was trying to hunt for a manufacturing company, and he was similar, like you, in the Alleppey area, and he met a couple of factories, and then he had come to my factory, and then we had a discussion, and we started doing business, and that turned out to be a big turning point for me, because whatever I made, he was willing to buy. He used to call me and say, whatever, don't worry about what you produce, just think only about shipping every single day or every single week. Whatever was the capacity, just don't look at the size type, just keep sending to me. So that so after that, I met him, like in when he came to Dubai. He didn't want to come to India. He said, I would like to meet you. Can you come over, and we can have a chat and can have dinner together? So I flew down to Dubai to meet him. And then he told me, Joseph, what I found in you was that, without even knowing whom I was, you valued me as a customer. And then that's how, because I went to several other bigger factories, they were not even willing to show me their factory, because they thought, I had no money to buy what they were making. So, but he turned out to be one of the biggest buyers of rubber products at that time. Mm-hmm. So they lost the business. It's, so we cannot take anyone for granted, because, that was a big lesson for me. So even after that, I met with another customer from Germany who used to buy, just initially, he was buying only about 2,000 stair mats. But then he turned out to be one of the biggest, buyers at that time. He used to buy every single month 2, 3, 40-foot containers, which was good for me. So, when you came also, it was like that. We only had an initial email conversation. After that, we never knew anything. But then, it turned out to be the biggest business after that. So, we cannot take anyone for granted. Everybody is special.
That's a good philosophy. How are things going right now, like with the international orders? I know that, like, our business that I assume with Adam is reduced a bit, but what's the rest of your international orders like?
We are working in 35 countries right now, and everybody is buying at the moment. Business is steady, but then it's quite, difficult. Like, we cannot really predict on what is happening, but I think it's not dropped. Business is not dropped. It is steady.
That's good. Have you bought a new car yet?
Not yet.
Joseph, you were wanting a new car 6 years ago. Tell me you don't have that same car.
I know I bought a smaller one. I
Okay.
changed, but then it is not something that I've been wanting. My dad says, that's not very important at the moment.
I can tell you, well, so that I wanted you to have a new car because the drive from the airport, it is so far.
Yes, yes.
And so I've been to, there are a few factories in India where like the owner has like a nice Mercedes, and I was like, I want Joseph we need to pay Joseph more so we can buy a new car.
No, I think for me, having a Mercedes, yes, I would lie if I don't want it. I would be lying. I would love it, but then Mercedes is not the priority. We still have a lot of things to do in the factory. So priorities are there. So car can wait for some more time. I'm not very old yet to think of that now. Maybe
You
I can.
have plenty of time to buy expensive cars. Would you ever think you'll expand the factory like internationally, or like grow it beyond the location that you have right there in Chengnatri?
See, for the product that we do right now, I don't think we need to expand to a different country or a different place. But then, if uh, things change, like if we get more orders and more customers coming in, we would consider a second factory in a different state instead of just being in the same place. Would just to keep the risk, because running a business in Kerala is very risky because the union involvement and all these things are very, very, very complicated here. It's one of the hardest place to do business in India. If you have 28 states, Kerala is ranked the 28th for doing business. So
Why is that? Bureaucracy?
yes,
Like a lot of rules for setting up the business and taxes and monitoring your wages and things like that?
yes.
Right. Is it good? Is the reason for the difficulty to support the labor, or why do you think it's difficult?
Because as I mentioned, everybody is educated, and the systems are pretty strong here. The government is strong, so they want to follow. Everybody needs to follow the rules, and keeping those rules is difficult to run the business. But then we need to follow that. We have to keep the law of the land and follow, and then only then things can run.
Right. Yeah, I know the stress of inspectors. Have you had any like you're working with Walmart still and Sam's Club?
Yes.
Yeah, their inspectors are strict.
Very strict, very strict.
Right. It's nice though now that you've done it for many years with the larger customers, because they have a process, I assume, right?
Yeah, we enjoy that now because we improved considerably going through those audits and all those things. I would never complain, because now we have a very good system in place in the factory, and we really don't have to worry about anything, because now after following those, even what they mention in their uh, audits is just that we have to follow the rules of the land. So it simply makes it easier for our local rules as well. So I'm quite enjoying that.
Right. The inspections and the international like oversight, you think made your factory better?
Yes, completely.
That's cool. Is your dad ever going to retire?
I don't want him to.
You need his guidance, you think? He's helpful?
No, because I think just coming there, spending few minutes or a few hours with us would keep him active and keep us also feel that he is still very young and he's still active in the business. So
Right.
I really enjoy that.
Right. And your mom and dad's health is still good?
Yeah, good. And I wish he keeps coming to the factory regularly. But he's not been there for a year now, because after the pandemic, he's not come to the office.
Right, just to avoid COVID. I'm curious, actually, have you had COVID outbreaks at your factory that have had to have shut you down, or did the government just shut you down, and whether or not you had any sick people?
We've not had a problem as yet in the factory, but a lot of people whom we know already had COVID, and they've been taking rest and all that. But touch wood, we've not had a problem in the factory, and we've not had a major shutdown yet.
Well, I hope that continues.
Yes.
And I know that your wife's mother is in the hospital right now. Is she doing okay?
Yes.
Right. And well, I guess we're kind of running out of time, but send her my best wishes. And so I'm inviting you to come to the United States, and I do hope I can get back to India for some more food. The meals at your dad's house with your mom and your wife and your kids is reason enough to come back, even if I don't have an order from Costco.
Yeah, you're always welcome, Justin.
So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today, Joseph. And say hi to your family. Say hi to Amit if you talk to him. And
sure, Justin. Thanks a lot. It was really good to give me an opportunity to speak with you for an hour. And, I really enjoyed speaking with you after such a long time.
Yeah, me too. I learned a lot, and I appreciate it. So take care.
Thank you, Justin.
All right. Bye.
Bye.